Welcome to the Institute of Jewish Knowledge and Learning. We are continuing to reveal the inner secret teachings of A Guide for the Perplexed with Rabbi Akiva Mann. Take it away, Rebbe.
Okay, welcome everyone, and Shalom Aleichem, and happy Chodesh Adar. We get two of them this year. And Kim, please give me a heads up. We have to end with little song, okay? Okay, so friends, last week we started structuring how Maimonides starts off the idea of divine providence, and he starts off with something that is he first wants to define the parameters of divine providence, and I think it's very sobering and very theologically sobering. And we ended off last week that he wants us to contemplate what the parameters we are talking about when we speak of divine providence. And asks us to question our own assumptions about divine providence. And again, he speaks about evil coming to us in life. And when he talks about evil, he's talking about the full spectrum of stuff that can happen, from the bare minimum to the medium to the most tragic. It's like it's an umbrella word that he uses. Usually evil is defined as somewhat premeditated evil, but he uses the Hebrew word ra, which just means generally speaking bad stuff, when bad things happen. So he's using this general term, and so will I. And he wants to remind us of the three different types of evils that come our way in life. And he has like three basic categories. And the first category that we spoke about last week was it's important to review if for those that are not taking notes, that you might not remember, but it's important for us to have these categories because we know these categories well. We know them personally, all of us. And the first one is injury that nature causes to people. So the first category is natural harm that comes to us from nature, and that we're going to extend. We're going to talk about it and extend it. That basically means all forms of sickness, also. The second category is harm that people do to one another. consciously, not so consciously, subconsciously, but it's basically bein adam lechavero, what people do to one another. And the third category is the evil and the harm that we do to ourselves. Let's not leave that out. And Maimonides comments on the first harm, the first evil, that's the natural evil, that the harm that comes to us from nature, like in a natural manner, they are all an integral part of our being in this world. I'm going to add some mystical terminology, in this world of Malchut. Nature and Malchut are inextricably interconnected one with another. When we talk about nature, we are automatically talking about this temporal world's first master is nature. And we're going to see how integral nature is to Maimonides, being not only a great mind, but also a scientist and a medical man and a medicine man. We're going to see his tremendous appreciation and acknowledgement of nature. So when he speaks about natural harm coming to us, he is asking us to be fully cognizant that the world's first master is nature, and we are subject. We as human beings, and being a part of nature, are subject to 1,000 natural, I'm using a Shakespearean expression, we are subject to the 1,000 natural shocks that the flesh is heir to. I love that. The 1,000 natural shocks that the flesh is heir to, that the natural human being that dwells within a natural setting is an integral part of our existence. And that we can count on nature doing its thing to us, whether it be good or not so good. Because we live in a natural world. And if a mosquito comes and chooses me to have lunch on, wants a little snack, Maimonides says that is part and parcel and integral within the confines of the natural world and has nothing to do with divine providence. It is a natural occurrence. And we can go further with that. If you slip and God no, I'm going to be paradox. And God forbid, if you slip and you break a limb, and then you discovered, oh, I slipped because it was icy. I slipped because it was rainy. I slipped because of a banana peel. Maimonides says that has nothing to do with divine providence. That is not where divine providence is functioning. So under this first category, there is a whole lot. There's a gigantic list of things that Maimonides would place under the category of natural occurrences. Let's go to the second category. Then at the end, we'll do a culmination. The second category, the harm that people do to one another. Maimonides simply says, the tremendous hurt that comes to us from other people is also not under the purview of divine providence. Why? Because God, divinity placed in this world as a functioning world, human beings who were gifted with free will. That is the great gift that the Torah recognizes, you know, as the ultimate divine gift to the human being, in contradistinction to the animal world, which is basically runs on instinct. What differentiates the human being that is created b'tselem Elohim, what is the tselem Elohim? It's the human aspect of free will. And if Chaim Yankel chooses to harm me, if someone chooses me to be their muggy, the mugger chooses me as the muggy, Maimonides says that has little and nothing to do with divine providence. That goes under the umbrella purview of was kämmertin, what can I do? What can I do? I implanted all human beings with this capacity of free will, and therefore, it is up it is not premeditated. It is not pre-planned. It is not divinely sanctioned. If someone chooses to do me good or to do me harm. So that's the second category. Harm that people do to one another is the energy of free will, not divine providence. And the third category, harm which a person does to himself. And Maimonides goes on and on, not only as a theologian, not only as a philosopher, but he goes on with this one because he is speaking. I kind of got like hints of it. He is speaking mamish from a medical, from a doctor's point of view on this third one, harm which a person does to himself, he says, is also under the purview of free will, individual free will and choice. And he really goes on of the human condition, that we have an unbelievably powerful capacity for lack of prevention to protect our own bodies. The human being has this capacity of a lack of restraint, and starts talking about our capacity for indulgence and the evils of excessive behavior that only comes due to our choices, our bad choices. And I say he goes on with this because he starts using examples that health issues that we today, Maimonides lives in the mid 12th century. He talks extensively about things that, if you would hear them, that are issues today. The excessiveness and the lack of restraint. You would have a nice chuckle that you would think that he's living in the 21st century. So between these three, between natural harm that comes to us, harm that other people do to us due to their free will, and harm that we cause ourselves because we do have free choice, he concludes that many people feel themselves to be passive victims of cosmic evil. And it's usually when bad things happen. Like when good things happen, people usually don't refer to divine providence. When bad things happen to us, we so surprisingly, when bad things happen to good people that we consider ourselves, we automatically, whether we are atheists or deists or agnostic, when bad things happen to us, the first thing that occurs is we point our finger upward and we say, God, why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me? So Maimonides concludes from these three categories that many people feel themselves to be victims of some sort of cosmic evil, and Maimonides transforms, in his theology, transforms mankind, humankind, from this kind of hapless victim of evil to mamash, its primary cause. He's switching the paradigm and saying the three major harms that come to us as human beings is not coming from from some cosmic evil God, or even from a good God that somehow is allowing evil to occur. He's switching it on its head and saying that the hapless victims of evil, we are the primary cause of these three evils, and the rest, and if there's any other harm that comes to us, the rest can be attributed to natural ways of the biological world. Maimonides' approach, it turns out, is a very therapeutic one, because what Maimonides is doing is by changing and transforming our man's ways and habits, we can reduce and eliminate our own suffering in these three major categories. And ironically, when he speaks about divine providence on an individual level, he is saying that we need to rid ourselves. And Chaver, this is like an important lesson. We have to rid ourselves of the expectations of external redemption. And he's saying in summary, and we have to accept responsibility for our own conditions. That is certainly number three. When our excesses do harm to us, he says it's a fallacy to blame God for the things that are going wrong in our bodies or with our bodies, and to somehow blame divine providence. It is a fallacy to say that the person that hurt me, the person that harmed me, it's coming, it's an eye in horror. Why is all this happening? No, it's coming from the free choice of people. And when nature is not so great to us, it's coming from a natural place. And he is saying it's a fallacy to heighten our expectations and to drive ourselves and our and to configure a divinity that is doing all of this to us. Nature and free will is doing it to us. We are more in charge, says Maimonides, than we think we are. And don't put most of the game in God's court. Okay, friends. Any comments, questions?
As a matter of fact, we have Micheline and Mike Selzer. Go ahead, unmute, my dear. Thank you.
Hi, hi, Rabbi. So what about accidents? Now, obviously, there are accidents of nature, you know, hurricanes and so on. What about an accident when a car hits someone or a bullet is shot and it hits a child indirectly, that kind of thing?
Okay, Micheline, you're always like spot on. Thank you. Friends, we're going to have to do this with in a semblance, with a certain order, because I am going to save the word, although it could fit in here. I am going to save the word bashert. Bashert, if you don't know, if you're not familiar what it means, bashert means it has many ramifications. It has many ramifications, but the major import of this Yiddish, it's not a Hebrew word, it's a Yiddish word. Bashert means that something that occurs that we can attribute, or that we desire to attribute to a sort of pre-planned, divinely providential occurrence that we can attribute to some spiritual forces, spiritual or divine forces, that we can say this and this occurrence was bashert. I'm going to leave that for the end because it the word bashert, I want to stick to Maimonidean, like straight theological. Where does divine providence come in, and where does it not come in? And bashert happens to be a fairly non-theological, rather a more romanticized kind of, like Molly and Dan, you know, they met and they got married and they find themselves under the chuppah, and their parents can say, oh, this marriage was made in heaven. It was bashert. So I want to stay away from the romantic side of divine providence and deal with the philosophical and theological, but I will get to the romantic side.
Okay,
Yeah,
and the elephant,
huh?
the elephant in the room, the Holocaust, which I'm sure at some point you will be addressing, because I know that's human to human, but you know. I know the answer is Israel already, but It's still an
Oh,
option.
not in my theology.
Okay.
Not in my theology.
At some point, please touch on
Not at
that.
all. I think saying Israel as a response to the Holocaust is practically obscene.
Good, because I agree with you.
Okay. Okay. So we will get to it. I want put your philosophical and theological, because we're going to get a lot out of that. And what you were addressing, Micheline, it belongs in a little separate category. Okay.
Thank you.
We have Mike, Marcia, and special greetings to Gabby in Brazil.
Oh, wow. Shalom Aleichem, Gabby.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
The babies are sleeping, so-
not only Shalom Aleichem, but a huge mazel tov. When you get to
Thank you.
speak, you will tell the chevra. But so happy to see you, man. Like, so happy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, chevra, let's go.
Okay, Mike and then Marcia.
Good morning. Good morning, Rabbi and everybody.
Morning, Mike.
Thank you. The words earlier, Rabbi, something, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but stirred up a lot of emotion as I was listening this morning. And what I think I'm trying to do is make a connection between what you mentioned, if I'm right, a few weeks ago in divine providence, having to do with caring. That we have a caring God that cares about us and that we care about each other. And I'm having some difficulty with continuity, trying to connect the caring with the, as you were saying today, we'll call it lack of God's hands-on approach to the problems and evil that exist in the world, and trying to connect that together. And at the same time, going back, maybe not from Maimonides, but just at the non-duality concepts that we talk about, and everything is part of God and God is inside everything, and trying to have that all connected together. And somehow in the description of the three categories, where nature and person to person and self-inflicted harm is all due to us, which is fine, but how does that reconnect back with free will and God taking his hands off and then not caring, or seemingly not caring, because we can do all these bad things to ourselves?
I eventually am going to get to it, but I need to give you, Mike, the short answer.
Okay.
I have to give you the short answer because in these three categories, I want you to ask yourself, if these three categories is the makeup of how the world functions. The world functions through a certain natural order called nature, and a certain natural gift, a divine gift called free will from others to do to me and me to do to others, and then free will on an individual level, how my course of life. Given these three categories of the nature of the world, what makes you assume, if that is the natural order of things, what makes you assume that God does not care? This is the system that Maimonides is saying that the world runs on. What makes you assume that because this is the system that God doesn't care? What how would caring manifest itself? That when I fall when I trip over a banana peel, an invisible divine hand comes out and cushions my fall? What do you expect? That free will is given to every individual, and someone wants to insult me or embarrass me or blaspheme me, and a divine hand comes and puts a divine hand over this person's mouth to prevent them from maligning me or someone else that I love? Why do you assume that these three natural ways of the world is an indication of a lack of divine caring?
Well, just that the mass suffering, not the individual, but when that individual gets to the tipping point of becoming a mass catastrophe in the world, without mentioning what they have been, that's where it seems to stretch that feeling of, okay, God's in the background, and God just doesn't interfere in the developments of man, but it's difficult to me to connect the two of caring and
okay.
that mass catastrophe.
I want to get to the core of the question, and we are going to answer that when we get to the category of miracles. Okay, but I want you to think very hard, and for those listening to Mike's excellent question, but I also want you to think is what I said is, do you expect God to come and cushion your fall when you slip on a banana peel? Do you expect God to say, if you are overeating or overdosing, for I don't know, an angelic voice to say, no, Mike, that you're over drinking, you're overeating? So I want to still ask you just one other question, and it's probably rhetoric. At what level, at what point are you going to expect? Okay, for an individual, you can say, Akiva, I agree. God's not going to come down and divine providence shut someone's mouth up. At what level of public suffering? Is it one person? Is it 10 people that God should start intervening? Is it 1,000 people? Is it only 1 million? Is it 6 million? At what point will you expect this caring, this intervention to occur? It's rhetorical. Your stretching that you said, it seems on an individual level, I can understand God will not do that. But if you stretch it to a huge population, give me an amount that you would expect God to start intervening.
Okay. Taking that as rhetorical.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we're going to talk about it later.
Okay, so we have Marcia and Susan Schreiber.
Hello. So what I was going to say changed several times during your answer to Mike's question and then your answer to it. But the last thing I thought of was, I can't be the only one who thought Abraham talking to God for the sake of 10 people, for the sake of 9 people, for the sake of 8 people, and God's answer was, no, there just really aren't enough good people for me to spare them.
By the way, he started with 50.
Okay, of course. So in any event, I mean, there's that bargaining, and like Mike, I mean, I'm like, I don't know the exact number, but, and like Micheline, the Holocaust, for God's sake, is that not enough? I know, rhetorical, but I mean, that's where we're all stuck, I think. So back to what I started to think about was the word beshert, and not in the romantic sense, but when you once said that in an explanation of free will, along with preordained, that God sort of knows what's going to happen next, that there's the path. And if you go left, the path will take you to a certain conclusion. But you can choose to go right. It's also going to take you to a different certain conclusion. And that's very logical. I like that. And it means that Bashert is not just romantic. It was meant to come out right. It was just meant to be. We used to joke when my husband's parents had gotten divorced and there was another woman in the picture and all of this. And we would just say, well, you know, you can blame her. But on the other hand, if not for her, his mother wouldn't have moved, and then he wouldn't have moved, and we wouldn't have met. And so actually we need to thank her for our children, because without her, there would be no Emily, there would be no Daniel. So no matter what it is, it's right.
Yes, that is one aspect of Bashert. One one basically out of three that how we will be defining Bashert. But Bashert does not necessarily mean that there was an intervention. It means that the destiny worked out, and Gamzu Latova, the destiny weaved itself, that good stuff came out of it. Yeah.
It's sort of like it worked out the only way it really
it worked out the only way that it could have, because this is the reality of all that weaving.
Okay, thank you. Susan.
Thanks, Martha.
Thank you.
Hi, I know. Hi, Rabbi.
Hi.
I know that I'm skipping many levels of understanding here, I think.
So am I. Susan, so am I. We all are. So is Maimonides.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Now I feel better. But I think of the Misha Berachs. We pray for the well-being of our loved ones and even ourselves. And how does that fit into the picture of God not being involved in a sort of day-to-day our lives, our day-to-day lives? Thanks.
Susan, that is like an excellent pointed right-on question, and we're gonna get to the see. I want to unfold what Maimonides first is saying, and then a lot attempt to align it with questions like Bashert. And you're asking, Susan, it's like, right, it's so sincere and so innocently right on, because some of the ramifications that we're going to see from Maimonides is going to question the whole idea of prayer, and the efficacy of prayer.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Okay. Thank you. And I think you can go back to the teaching. We have satisfaction. We all understand with perfect faith.
Okay. So friends, on taking these three major categories, I want us to think about that what Maimonides is attempting to do here is he shifts the source of our troubles from God to man. He is saying that 90, we'll be generous, 95%. What Maimonides is saying here with these three categories, if you think about it realistically, 95% of our troubles do not assume are coming from a divine providential decision enforced on you. Our troubles do not come from God to man. He moves the whole discussion from theology to self-therapy. In all of these three major categories, he is saying the onus for 95% of all of our tsaras is on us. And it's a terrible fallacy. And it is an evasion of the truth if we start doing the blame game to God. People hurt each other. We hurt ourselves. And nature has its own way. There's something called gravity. If you fall hard and you're able to break things. That has little to do with divine providence. So Maimonides is trying the therapeutic. He's giving us a theology that does a paradigm shift and says stop this idea, stop the madness. And Chevra, once you think of it, once Maimonides is doing a therapeutic approach to control and discipline and align our free will, 2 out of the 3 categories, to realign us, and the onus, the ball is he says is in our court, and However, don't you see that some of the greatest ills of the history of mankind actually come from the blame game on God? Once we start invoking divine I know, says the Ayatollah, I know the divine plan. I know how divine providence works because the prophet told me so. I know how divine providence, I know when God expects me to intervene, blah, 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 blah. Right? The ills of the world come from invoking God's name and putting it on human decision making. Okay, so Chevra, let's go. So remember those three things. Remember those three circumstances that really cover 95% of all of the ills that come our way are really built into the natural world. And we can talk now a little bit, a touch about from the smallest thing that occurs to us. I cut my pinky cutting carrots to a diagnosis of cancer. Which Maimonides would put into the first category, the natural world. Cancer sucks, but it is part and parcel of the natural world. One of the questions that we are going to try to attempt to answer and not answer is some of the whys, that we have. Why did you get cancer here? And Maimonides right now, theologically, is going to say, we don't know why. But it ain't a personal decision coming from divinity and pinpointing the person and saying, you are going to get, God forbid, this kind of cancer, and the other one is going to get that kind of cancer, and the other one is going to be healed from cancer. Maimonides simply says it doesn't work like that. But we do have to understand what it means to go from evil to providence, and Maimonides is gonna now explain four different kinds of theologies, and this is going to be important for us because all of us, you and I, all of us are going to associate one way or another with these four different kinds of how we get from evil to providence. And Maimonides starts with, again, number one kind of human being who maintains a theology that he says belongs to the non-believers. Yay, non-believers, you'll see. Because I told you this before, and anyone in our chevra that says I am a proud non-believer, I say you don't know that you're really ultimately a believer. So this is how he describes a non-believer. So for all the non-believers out there, I think you're going to say that's not me. I'm I'm a different kind of non-believer. I'm not that kind of non-believer. And that makes a difference, by the way. It makes a difference what kind of non-believer you are. So his first category is non-believers. And the non-believer, I want you to get into this, into this non-believer's head. The non-believer proclaims in his or her own head that there is no order to the universe. And also no external being to provide any order. This first category of non-believer is the person who believes with a perfect belief, the emunah shalema, that the world, I'm talking now universal here, the world, the universe is chaotic and random. We're talking Aristotelian and Maimonidean philosophy. There is no order in the world. The world is functioning like the little ball on a roulette wheel. If you've ever seen that little ball on the roulette wheel, it spins and spins and spins and then jumps. And then that little ball is jumping from number to number, from hole to hole. And anyone, like some of the stupid gamblers, anyone that thinks that there is an order to that spin and to the number that the ball is going to land on, there is no order. That same roulette wheel is what the non-believer believes in the entire cosmos and the entire universe and our entire world is one large roulette wheel. Everything is chaotic. In the words of Genesis, when Genesis begins in the first sentence, the haaretz haita tohu vavohu, the Torah is describing in the beginning, Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim, the haaretz haita tohu vavohu, and at the beginning everything was chaotic. That is like pre-creation. There was no order. There was nothingness. There was black hole. So Maimonides begins with this first perception of living in this world where divine providence is not even an issue. because it's not only divine providence, but the world itself, the natural world, is just chaotic. It's just chaotic, and anything goes, anything can go. And you know, that taken to an extreme is actually a, you know, we have seen it in history, and you know, that is not only a theological problem, because the non-believer in any that the world is chaotic and there is no order whatsoever, that individual has no room or space for morality, nor ethics, nor anything. Do you realize the ramifications of the non-believer? This non-believer in any order in the universe, that denies any order, that means that nothing matters. And you do not want to meet up with a person. You don't want to meet up with a theology. Of a society that believes that nothing the world has no order, and therefore nothing matters. Do you realize how dangerous and how anti-human, anti-morality, anti-ethics, anti-everything that can lead to? If someone believes like nothing matters. So it's the non-believer in Maimonides' mind is not like I like the Torah over Christianity, or I love Jesus over Muhammad. He's not talking about like religion. I do not believe in Muhammad, but I yes believe in Jesus, or I don't believe in Jesus. I believe in the God of Israel. He's not talking only about that non-believer. He's talking about mamish, a non-believer that is that just simply, there's no order, and therefore there are absolutely no rules to follow. That's what Judaism used to call paganism. So for the non-believer, divine providence doesn't even come into the picture. Second category is those that have come to a state of enlightenment where there is an abundant natural order in the world. There's a realization that the world, and Chevra, I want us to get, you know, I might be speaking, you know, like a little bit like the language of Heschel, but Maimonides is speaking the language of Heschel. The second category is for those of us of all stripes who sense, who intuit, and then who know and acknowledge that there is like this fantastic natural order in the world that testifies to the existence of some providential concern. the natural order of the world is witness to some, the word that we used last week was it witnesses to some overseer. To some supra-vision. The order of the world itself. And that Maimonides says is the Aristotelian view. But bless his little mind, but bless his mind. Bless his mind. We're graduating. The argument between, let's get this very clear in our minds, because I think it'll help us really ground ourselves in certain gradations of acknowledgement and belief. Because I'm sure on a personal and on a spiritual, I'm moving from philosophy to mysticism. I am sure that in your heart of hearts, there I can admit that there have been moments that I can attest to in different stages of my life and different stages of my maturation, where the non-believer, the suspicion that there is no order in this world has enticed me. So I want us to be able to identify with each one of these. So the Aristotelian view, the argument between the Aristotelian view and the non-believer is really about how nature works. According to the non-believer, the whole world is chaos. The non-believer does not even attribute any honor or respect to nature. The whole world is chaotic. There are no rules. There might be some more regular rules than non-regular rules, but in the mind of the non-believer, anything can happen. And according to Aristotle, and this is a huge, he has to be mamish praised for the enlightenment that he made possible. According to Aristotle, he acknowledged the idea that we live in a world that we call the cosmos. And you know what cosmos means? Cosmos means, look it up, it means an orderly system. And Aristotle is acknowledging that the universe, Hashamayim misaprim kevoid el, the universe is revealing to us an extraordinary degree of order to anyone who wants to investigate it. And thank God we live in a generation that is investigating it. And there is an unbelievable order. Imagine Aristotle so many centuries ago realizing this without the advantages of modern technology. Imagine his mind realizing this. There is an order to this vast cosmos and to the and to this place we call the world. And this order, this non-chaos is evidence, and this is where Maimonides comes in, is evidence of a being. Listen to this carefully. This order of the cosmos is evidence of being a force, of a being or a force that organizes somehow or oversees the cosmos. Think of it logically. Maimonides and Aristotle's conclusion is that the fingerprint of divine concern is revealed in cosmic order. The orderliness of nature and of the cosmos is a fingerprint, is a proof that there is something behind that order. It's a very philosophical thing, but it's I believe you got to get this. You got to get this, because this is the actual transition of you fakers who call yourselves non-believers to realize that you are not non-believers. You are believers in an order. If you believe that there is an order in the universe, then you are inches away from an acknowledgement, a realization that maybe there's something behind that order.
Okay, Rabbi Akiva, can you take, just because you have 10 minutes, so I'm going to focus on the people that have not asked a question so that you can get to Shabri.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
Good morning, Rabbi. I like your haircut. That's number one. You look very good.
I'm sorry?
I like your haircut.
Thanks.
It's an Israeli haircut.
It was my first haircut in Israel, and
Yeah,
I took a chance, and
it was a good one.
you never know. Okay, go. Yeah, thank you, Shabri.
I totally agree about the wisdom behind everything, because if you studied trees, the trees and the roots under the trees, they have the mycelium. The mycelium is actually the roots under the trees that carry all the wisdom and protection for the trees, and therefore for our universe. So how can we say that there's no order when we're stepping on it when we go on the earth? That's all I have to say today.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabri. but it goes from that level to ad hashamayim. Yeah, you know, it goes from the footsteps of what you mentioned to the cosmic areas. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Donna Levine, please unmute and reveal yourself.
Hi there, Rabbi
Hi,
and everybody
Donna.
else. Good to see you. It's a question and a statement. You use the word an overseer. And I think that what we're working on is, where does God intervene versus what is man's play in this play here on earth? And what
We're talking, Donna, before you go on, we're talking about both.
right.
We are using so many terms for the same thing. We're talking about overseer, supervisor. We're talking about them all of them.
Okay, so what's coming to me is that overseer is one overseer, and all the other words that go into it is somebody that has their hand directly into, can make the decisions, can alter reality, can override our free will at the will of the overseer. And I'm suggesting that God is like a parent, that's my relationship. When you have a little baby, you're always there teaching the child. And then the child grows up and you teach a little less and you step back a little bit more. And then when they become a grown-up and they get married, you basically step all the way back unless you're being asked a direct question where you're being asked to intervene. So I'm suggesting that God is not an overseer at this point because we have grown, that there was a time when God was overseeing and had a direct hand in our lives. And then we grew to the point where God says, okay, I gave you free will, now go and exercise it. So I'm suggesting that God is a witness to the play that goes on here on the planet, not an overseer or a direct fingerprinter on what is going to happen. So the word I'm trying to introduce is witness to his children growing and doing what God might not agree with, but we have free will.
Donna, I very much appreciate what you are saying, because we will get to that when, like Maimonides just at our point introduced, excuse me, the Aristotelian idea, right, of divine presence or divine providence in the world, where Aristotle talks about merely order in the world reveals the fingerprint of something behind that order, controlling that order. So I very much appreciate what you're saying, but we will only get to that point when we get to the fourth, not the Torah's outlook, but the Maimonidean outlook. And I want you to bring that up again, because Maimonides is not very much going to like although I think there's a lot of truth in it, is not going to very much like your description as witness, because and think about, ponder this, Donna. You who admittedly said you view the relationship between yourself and the divine like a parent and a child, would the question to you is, would you like to be, would you sanction a parent being a witness whilst harm is coming to the child? Would you be happy for a delegation of the divine capacity to intervene and say, no, I'm not intervening. Ich bin a witness. I'm only witnessing this, and I gotta kind of stand back. What's that old New York expression? I have nothing like to do with this. I don't want to get in, I don't know. I don't want to get involved. So a witness who is insistent on being a witness only, exclusively, ponder that for a moment.
Thank you.
So Chevra, let me, anyone else hanging on?
Marcia has her hand up, but she may take a pass because I am asked, because it's 1:27 and you wanted the last 5 minutes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'll be back in another class.
Right, call him.
I will wrap up this section, this number 2, that I want us to appreciate Aristotle, because Maimonides very much appreciated this gem, this seed of an idea, and was in total agreement with Aristotle. Next week we will see where Maimonides differs from Aristotle, but he accepts this idea of Aristotle, and I want us to very much appreciate it, because the Aristotelian view here is just se'u marom einechem. Lift your eyes, I'm quoting Yeshayahu, Isaiah. Lift your eyes to the heavens. Ure'u mi bara eleh. And just see, just realize, just acknowledge that this cosmos is not chaos. And if it's not chaos, there has to be something behind the non-chaos. And this is the idea. I think it begins with Isaiah's expression. Aristotle realized this. And in our day, for those of you that have been to other classes, when we quoted, and many of you knew this, when we quoted that Einstein at the end of his days wrote that he acknowledges, he hadn't been a religious person any time of his life, but at the end of his life, so that's ritual and religion. But at the end of his life, and probably in the middle of his life, he realized that and acknowledged and surrendered that what he has seen of this world, he has to admit that there is something behind the order that exists in this world. So I believe that Einstein is saying the same thing in different words than Aristotle. And I think that Abraham Joshua Heschel, when he introduces the idea of wonderment when viewing the world, is also pointing to the same thing. That is, within nature, within the cosmos, there is a fingerprint of the divine. So we are progressing from the unbeliever to seeing the Aristotelian, Maimonidean, Einstein, and Heschel kind of, we are seeing at least the fingerprint of a divinity, of a someone or a something that is behind nature. Next week, we will go to the Torah's perspective, number 3. Okay, Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Music. I thought we're concluding with music.
Well, I'm sorry?
I think at the beginning you asked us to remind you that you wanted to have a little music moment.
Oh, hi, Judy.
Hi, Rebbe. It's great to see you. You look fantastic.
Okay, great. So, oh, okay. So what do we?
Judy's birthday was last week, Reb.
Oh, happy birthday, Judy. Is happy birthday. Is Gabby still on?
I am Han, and I'm going to introduce
Gabby, you
Maya.
have to announce. We have to. Oi, gewalt.
This is Maya. Maya is, they are 16 days old today. There's Atiye, who's the boy, and Maya, who's the girl.
Unbelievable.
It's so sweet. So my daughter gave birth just 16 days ago to these beautiful 2 babies. And thank God. And I'm happy for the providence, because there was a lot of providence there. There was a lot of hand of God in there. My daughter is well and the babies are well. And I'm happy I can be back and listen to you, not just on video.
But Gabby, you're tell the chevra where you are.
I'm in Brazil, and I am in the middle of the country in very remote area. And my daughter is a midwife. She's an indigenous midwife, and she gave birth at home and in a very old, ancient, traditional manner. And we're all blessed and so happy. And thank God everything was great. So
Wow.
I'm far away.
Wow.
I'm very far away. And today is the first day that I have really full internet in the house. So that's why I'm joining you.
Gabby, we are so happy for you. You're a grandmother of twins. Did you get my
Yes, I did. I'm sorry,
okay,
I didn't
good.
reply. I didn't have time
Good.
yet.
We are
Okay.
so happy. You're a grandmother of twins.